Yippee! Hello, it is Creature, and welcome to my very first actual TV show review. Now, if you don't know, I normally do content that focuses more on video games, so I've decided to get out of my comfort zone and talk about a TV show for once. I'm not getting too far out of my comfort zone. The god of the chest club and deceit, Todd Gorath, has for once not lied. Look, all I'm gonna say is Todd misses about 90% of the time, but when he fucking hits, he hits. As I'm sure you know, the Fallout show has been made and recently completed its first season with a second confirmed. Unlike other shows of this ilk that have gained notoriety, this one's actually good. The Fallout show is extremely faithful to the source material, with all of the sets looking like they came straight out of the games. I'll put it this way, if you liked how faithful Edgerunners was to the Cyberpunk universe, you're gonna cream your pants over this one. As I know many of the Sigma male chads that watch this shit are gonna spurg out if the adaptation is not at least 99% faithful. I'm not condemning, by the way, I am right there next to you. And since I personally hold Fallout in a very high regard, I'll do my best to not spoil the show. And what better time to talk about the show than 2 months after the first season has concluded? I'm anything if not inconsistently consistent. Anyway, you should go watch the show, either through corporately valid ways or more unscrupulous methods. As I said earlier, the sets and designs of this show are completely on point. No complaints here. Everything looks like it should, and I genuinely feel that praise is warranted. The show balances on that very thin line between faithfulness and fan service quite well. And for the most part, I only remember seeing one or two things that was like the show actively whipping out the soy pog and pointing at something, most notably the junk jet, which I personally don't give a fuck about and don't know anybody who actually uses this weapon in game, and most notably,
patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Now for the main things that everybody's been waiting for me to talk about, retcons. And I'm just gonna put this right here. If you don't want to be spoiled and you want to watch the show yourself, I heavily recommend you do. My review for it is, I'll say a 9 out of 10. It's a really, really good show. I highly recommend you watch it. Beyond that, the rest of this is gonna have a lot of spoilers in it, so you've been warned. Where is she? 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 Yeah, got her. Whew, boy. Let's get the big retcon out of the way first, the fall of Shady Sands. Now, the show has admitted to doing a piss-poor job at explaining the history of the Fallout universe. So, the God King Todd had to come down from Olympus and set our bitch asses straight.
We're careful about the timeline. There might be a little bit of confusion in some places, but everything that happened in the previous games, including New Vegas, happened. We're very careful about that. And so when they brought that up, threading that needle.
Understanding what the fall of Shady Sands means or like anything like that.
All I could say is we're threading it tight there, but the bomb falls just after the events of New Vegas. Like that's when Shady Sands. We are tight on the dates if you really want to get into it. But what's important is when the show takes place.
So it's safe to assume that Shady Sands was nuked either at the end of 2281 or in 2282. And we can see that during the events of the Fallout show, Shady Sands was noted as being the first capital of the NCR, implying that there is a newer capital, most likely located closer to the Mojave, since,
Always, true to Kaiser.
And to a much lesser degree, it's shown that ghouls need to take meds, probably Rad-X or Radaway, as the name is never explicitly said in the show. As far as I'm concerned, it fits.
All of this just works. I'm not kidding.
Lastly, Vault-Tec dropped the bombs. This one I'm a bit more iffy on than the other points. While it's not outright stated in the show, it is heavily implied that Vault-Tec and the other pre-war corps dropped the bombs, or at the very least had an extreme key role in making sure that the bombs fell. If Vault-Tec did do it, then yeah, I have a pretty big issue with that.
I set to work immediately. I thought I had plenty of time to prepare. As it turned out, I was 20 hours short.
If they just merely kind of pushed things along to get things going, then I'm completely fine with that. We know that Vault-Tec is a horrific company. I'll put it this way, if you've already seen the Vault experiment in the show, and you've played the games,
Fucking poison ivy all over. I can feel it itching me already.
Alright, enough about the settings, let's talk about the actual show. It's good. It's a pretty basic Fallout story, if I'm being completely honest. Raiders attack a vault, kidnap the Overseer, and the Overseer's daughter goes to find them. That's episode 1. And I'm not calling this a spoiler because if you've ever played Fallout, you should see this shit coming from the first introduction of the Vault 32 dwellers. And that's pretty much the basic plot. If it sounds familiar, that's because it's pretty close to the story of Fallout 3. The other two characters follows a ghoul who is looking for his family 200 years after the bombs fall, and an aspirant in the Brotherhood of Steel named Maximus. And the show itself does extremely well with balancing the somewhat serious tone that a setting like Fallout demands, as well as the over-the-top and dark humor that Fallout has become known for.
You, sir, are a scholar and a gentleman. You should be commended. I'm sorry, okay? Don't murder me. It's just, the guy was fucking my chickens.
But what's a Fallout show without its characters? How does this show stand up to some of the greatest villains and heroes that we come across in the games?
Good. You're doing God's work, whether you believe it or not.
You've gotten a lot farther than you should have, but then you haven't met Frank Horrigan either. Your ride's over, Mutie. Time to die.
No, not you.
Pretty damn good, if I'm being completely honest. And to be fair, the three main characters can be seen as different progressions of the player in relation to Fallout. From your first game to your third or fifth playthrough, and then finally your 10,000th playthrough. And you know what? Fuck it. I'll even give them special stats to go along with it. So, going off that metric.
Okie dokie.
Lucy is a vault dweller from Vault 33. She is then thrust into the wasteland to chase after her father, the Overseer, who has been captured by raiders. She is forced to figure out how to survive and get her father back. She's a good-hearted character that attempts to defuse situations with words rather than violence, with her main weapon throughout most of the season being a tranq gun.
Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
She is a great stand-in for first-time Fallout players, as she has no fucking clue what is happening in the wasteland. She's a fun character to watch, and definitely more on the good side of the moral system. While she isn't necessarily the strongest, most of her stats are pretty average. However, I'll say that she is perceptive and gets pretty lucky from time to time, getting out of hairy combinations with a combination of her own skill and a good amount of luck. He was a kid living out in Shady Sands when it got nuked, and was saved by the Brotherhood. He starts off as a guy getting the absolute shit kicked out of him by other initiates of the Brotherhood, and seems to be a means justify the ends kind of a guy. However, later in the show, it's shown that he is a genuinely good guy who is genuinely wanting to live up to the nobility and morality that comes with being a knight of the Brotherhood. He's just kind of gotten stuck with the shit end of the life stick. While he's not necessarily the brightest of the bunch, or the most lucky in the world, he does have a good heart. And I mean that both metaphorically and literally, because this dude gets the shit kicked out of him constantly. While again, not the brightest initiate out there,
This is Night Titus. Over.
This is Petty Officer Shortsight. You missed your check-in.
We were attacked.
By an abomination. My squire, he fell in battle.
He died with honor.
Or the most socially apt.
Titus! We need a talk.
Yes.
You were right about this place.
No. You were right. Check this out. These are called oysters. You want one? They make you feel so good. You want to make my cock explode now?
What?
Sorry. Intercourse?
No, Titus.
Or the most convincing person in the world.
Your fellow aspirants say it was you.
No, I wouldn't.
Why not? Your friend was promoted, you were not.
He can handle himself in a fight and is able to take a lot of punishment and keep moving. He is a sturdy dude, and I would not mind having him as a follower in the games, simply due to the fact that I'm 90% sure this guy can take a mini nuke to the face and not die.
I do this shit for the love of the game.
Cooper is a pre-war ghoul and is by far an extremely impactful figure in the Fallout universe. He was a movie star in the years leading up to the Great War whose wife was an executive of Vault-Tec. Though we don't know how he survived the bombs dropping, he's now a ghoul. Cooper is effectively the player character after about 1,500 hours of gameplay. He's OP as shit, and his companion is dog meat. If that doesn't tell you he's the main character, I don't know what will. Where Lucy can be seen as kind of the main character in Fallout 1, 3, and 4, being a vault dweller who comes out into the wasteland having no idea what's going on, Cooper's the fucking courier, along with the power level that name comes with. He is the connection to the old world in the show and gives Lucy a crash course in wastelanding, to put it lightly.
Now, come on, Vaulty. Ass jerky don't make itself.
At this point in time where the show takes place, he is the definition of the idea of ends justify the means, and that end being his own survival. He's definitely a jerk, but a jerk with a heart of gold kind of a guy. And I mean, he's a good dude deep down. I'm talking he will sell you or use you for bait for a massive monster. He's a good guy deep down, and I mean deep down. Like Dungeons of Angband deep.
What are you?
Oh, I'm you, sweetie. You just give it a little time.
Also, he's given me my favorite quote in the show.
I had to get my dad back.
Yeah, well, the wasteland's got its own golden rule.
Oh, what's that?
Thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every goddamn time.
Quick aside, and also spoilers. And I'm not going to say that the show doesn't have any plot holes. Like anything made by Bethesda, it most certainly does. But I just want to point out one of the main ones that everybody keeps talking about. Why didn't Cooper kill Maximus and Philly if he knew about the weakness on the chest of the T-60 power armor? In the scene, he aims every single shot at Maximus's chest plate, and apparently trying to hit that sweet spot to kill him instantly. Look, if I'm trying to defend plot holes in a show, you know it's good. And honestly, I don't care if you accept my justification for the plot hole, it's just my observation. The show itself is good, and a great adaptation of a video game that sticks to the material and doesn't pull some shit like Halo, and is very obviously made specifically for the fans. The show itself is 8 episodes, each being roughly an hour long, and while I only talked about the main characters of the A plot, there is also a B plot with the vault dwellers figuring out what the hell is going on with their vault, and a C plot about the pre-war lead up. Each is great, none of them really feel rushed or nothing feels too shoehorned in. I have a feeling that Todd Howard, praise be, went to Amazon and said, you know how that Rings of Power show and Halo show did? Well, we're going to do the exact opposite of that.
All of this just works.
It is an amazing show. I give it a solid 9 out of 10, mainly because, you know, there are some plot inconsistencies and plot holes, and I can't really give it a perfect score if it's not perfect. It's still an amazing show and a faithful adaptation to a game, and by far one of the most faithful and well-written shows out of the lot of adaptation shows that have come out over the last couple of years. I don't know who the writers are on the Fallout show. Whoever y'all are, you're fucking cooking. Like, keep doing what you're doing. I just don't understand how a lot of shows keep fucking up the source material. Like, for the love of God, what the hell has these other companies been doing? I don't know who these retarded writers are that they keep hiring, but for the love of God and all things that are holy, get rid of those fuckers. Please. And Amazon is making a Warhammer show. Get the Fallout people on that shit.
Way down inside of me, darling, I have only one desire. And that one desire is you. And I know